Thanks again for coming. We really do appreciate everybody coming out to all these meetings. It's hard for all of us, but we really couldn't do it without you, and we appreciate you coming. Just a few reminders. As we're trying to do all the time now, we are video recording all of these meetings and then posting them on the internet on our website. We're going to be starting a YouTube channel. We're doing a lot of different things with it, so just keep that in mind. The camera is already here and already rolling. If anybody doesn't, would rather not be on, just let us know and we'll try to figure something out. All right? Why don't we have a few new people. Try, if you can, we have name tags over here. I mean, for the new people, try to wear the name tags so that they can get to know everybody. Why don't we just take 2 minutes? We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, and go around the room and just say your name and what brought you here, or one interesting thing about yourself, who you're with, just so everybody can hear who we are. Why don't we start here?
Hello everyone, I'm Katanya Lester with the Urban Health Institute.
Good evening everyone, I'm Sarah Powell. I'm the field coordinator for the Community Health Institute.
Hi everyone, I'm Maren Solomon. I'm the administrative coordinator for the Community Health Initiative.
Hello everyone, my name is Jem Lucius and I'm the children's technology specialist at the Impact
Good evening everyone, my name is
Hey, you skipped somebody. Got somebody right there.
Oh, okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amira Benton, and I'm one of the data collectors.
Great.
Good evening everyone, my name is Althea Smith. I'm one of the data collectors as well.
I'm Sam Alongasegra. I'm at the Urban Health Institute.
I'm Tyler Mitchell. I'm a data collector.
Hi, I'm Dr. Geyer. I'm at Johns Hopkins. I'm retired now, but I used to be involved in this project before I retired. So here to hear what the data collectors have to say.
I'm Mindy Flamholtz. I'm a student with the Institute for Integrated Nutrition.
I'm Jawan, the data collector as well.
Right. When we come down.
I'm Elizabeth Dorr. I'm at Johns Hopkins Student Outreach Resource Center.
I'm Elizabeth Toft. I work for the Urban Health Institute.
You guys over there, David, just want to quickly say who you are. And
Dave Skinner with the Greater Healthy Homes Initiative.
Great.
Chris Purnell, General Transit Medicine Resident.
Great.
Elizabeth Spradley, nursing student.
I'm Edie Taylor, Office of Community Health, Johns Hopkins Health Systems.
My name is Paige. I'm a data collector.
And
I'm Adrienne Mosley. I'm the Administrator of Community Health at Johns Hopkins Health System.
do we get? Oh.
Yep. And I'm Gary Dittman.
And I think there's. Do we miss anybody? Constance, you want to just?
Constance,
Excellent. Just before we go on, why don't we just give a round of applause to Pastor Gary for allowing us to come here all these times. Really appreciate it. All right, so tonight is an exciting night. We have the first report outs of all that we've been talking and planning about doing for now almost going on 3 years in this last iteration. Dr. Geyer, some of you don't know, who was working with the Urban Health Institute before Dr. Blum became involved, he and I have been working on these kinds of ideas for many years before that. So this is...
We started in high school, didn't we?
That's right. That's right. So this really, and really that's why he's here, to really hear the first bits of data, of some ideas and things that we've been thinking, dreaming about doing for a very, very, very long time. And this is only the beginning. So, and then there are some things that we need to discuss. You know, with every program, with every new program, there are challenges, there are things that we can improve on, and we're going to discuss those tonight. Get your impact. Remember, when we started this, it was part of our core values, it was part of everything, that not only are we expecting certain things from others in terms of how they interact with us, how they speak with us, but we also are expecting certain things of each other. We're not just here to talk, we're here to participate. You're going to hear some about the data collectors tonight. but there's going to be other opportunities for each one of us, others that are here, to participate, and you'll hear more about that as we go forward tonight. So why don't we go ahead and jump right in and get started. The methods team, which is going to give us an update and begin to talk about the data, and we can have a little discussion about that. And Tara and Maren are going to start off that discussion for us. Nobody's sitting back here. You can sit in the middle there, so that's all right.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Tara Powell. I'm the field coordinator for the asset mapping project. We've been quite busy for the last month or so, or better. Just doing this work of gathering data, gathering information, gathering positive stories from the neighborhood residents. And I'm going to go for the first slide. It says what's happened so far.
You know what, I just thought about something, Tara. Maybe, is Bernie, do you want a 2-minute of sort of what we were doing, the methods, about how, most of you know this, but is it worth just talking for 2 minutes about the process and what kind of things the data collectors are asking about? Or no? Because I can talk to Bernie anytime I fill him in on that. Yes? No? Okay. A couple minutes. Okay, a couple minutes. So just before they tell you about the data, so as you know, as we talked together over the years about this project, we decided that to split it into 2 phases. And this first phase is to understand what's good about East Baltimore. What are the assets? What are the things that people value in East Baltimore? And that could either be people and the things that they do, or businesses or places. And the reason to do that is because nobody else has done it, and it's easy to believe that there's nothing valuable in East Baltimore. And I've heard some people say that. And the other reason to do it is so that once we have that information, we can then use it to help understand and support the projects or the programs that we can put in place to fix the problems. That way that the people and the resources in East Baltimore become part of the solution, and we're not only thinking about experts or people from outside coming in and doing something to people in East Baltimore. And that was a direct recommendation of this group and the people involved in this group and the people from the community. And so we brought in a couple of the leaders around the world in doing this kind of work, asset mapping type of work, to teach us about the process, to help us train the 12 data collectors that we hired from the community. There's 7 different kinds of assets that they're asking about. We won't go into that tonight. And now for 2 weeks, our data collectors have been out there interviewing people, talking to people, and learning about these assets. And tonight, that's what we're going to hear about. So that's the fast version.
Okay. Dr. Gibbons pretty much gave you all that we've been doing. As the slide said, that we were in training for about 3 weeks. And during that time, we were just brought up to speed about various things, from how to interact door to door, how to safety training, how to use virtues in engaging people, how to talk to the public. We learned exactly what this initiative was all about, what roles we were playing, why they were important, why is it important for the residents to express themselves, why is it important to hear their stories. And so we spent that time, the 3 weeks, getting to know each other, getting to know the initiative, and just getting ourselves together to get out there and do this work. Part of that work has been simultaneously doing outreach, recruitment, and actually doing interviews. Our data collectors went out, and in 48 hours, or 2 days of work, they brought in over 200 names of people that we're going to interview. So this outreach, this bringing awareness, this phase is still ongoing. To just create the buzz. So that's sort of been my role, is to kind of reach out to my connections and people that I know, and have the data collectors reach out to people that they know, and just get the word out. Because the more people are aware of what we're doing, I think the more receptive the community will be when the data collectors go out. So it's sort of paving the way for them to have successful interviews. And they learn a lot of skills, active listening, how to, engage the conversation, to guide it in a conversation, not just a question and answer type of style. So they've been trained on how to do that, and they do it really well. Listening and pulling out the information from the residents. So as the slide states, we've been doing the outreach, we've been doing recruiting and actually conducting interviews, and the data collection is ongoing. So talking about recruitment, we've done things at different locations. First and third, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we've come up with a schedule where we are in Northeast Market, and we're also at Stop Shop and Save on Harford Road. We've also done on-spot interviewing, like at an event. We've held one at Douglas Home, where one of our data collectors happens to be a community leader. We have actually two of our data collectors as community leaders, and she was willing enough to open up her community center to us and bring the residents of 21231 and the Douglas Home community into this space, and we were able to complete about 10 interviews in one day, just on the spot, getting it done. So these things have been successful for us to get people, to get the word out, and also do the on-spot interviews. And they hit the street. We sent them out to every zip code, every corner. Some zip codes are larger than others, so we've gone out multiple times in these places to hit the zip codes and gain the people from those 5 zip codes. And we also have a flyer and our brochure and an insert that tells exactly what the asset mapping is all about. So those are the types of things we've been doing since October the 3rd. And I think we've covered a lot of ground since then, and we've made a lot of strides. So now I'll turn it over to Maren so she can give you the nitty and gritty about the interview process.
Okay, so we have 2 main ways that we are able to do interviews. The first one is scheduled. Of course, just contact those people that have been recruited and just schedule an interview date, time, and location. Sometimes we go to their home or a public place, or they come to our office, and then we assign the data collector dyads to go out. And we also have done on-the-spot interviews where, if they're letting someone know about the project right away, they can do an interview with them. So in that process, they give me a call and I give them the information that they need to be able to do that. And as you can see, those are the different types of places that they have done interviews in. And there is a report that I put out on the table over there. So as of yesterday, we had 371 names in our database. And as Tara mentioned, most of those names were from the 2 days that the data collectors went out. And they gathered about 200 names just from going out. And then, we continue to collect them as they go out. And we've had 119 successfully scheduled interviews, but we've only been able to have 70 actually completed interviews, and that's because of cancellations. Some of them were refusals. As you can see in the report, there were 12 refusals. Also, some of those people, they're MIA, can't contact them anymore for whatever reason. So there's some complications in that, and that's why we're sort of pushing through with the on-the-spot interviewing, because that seems to be pretty successful for some types of people. And the next slide will be the data collectors giving their point of view.
Just to explain what she means by on the spot, there are some people that when we are talking to, or the data collectors are talking to them, promoting the program, raising awareness, they say, hey, I'm ready to talk right now. And rather than turn those down and run the risk of losing them later, we've developed a system where we can actually assign an ID to that person and get that interview done right there. And so you can see with the 119, we've got using the methods we've had so far, we've got a rate of over 50%, 55% or so of the scheduled people who have actually completed surveys. So that's actually a pretty good hit rate for basically a cold call sort of mechanism. So great, data collectors. Which one of you guys are going to be talking about that? Why don't you come on up now?
Juwan Parham and Miss Afia Smith. Oh, I'm sorry. You have a question? You have a question?
No. So that total completed is 70. We're just saying it's 50% of those are from.
No, I'm sorry. Of the 119 that are scheduled, we've completed 70, which is more than 50% of 119.
Okay. This number is
the total database of names that we have to this point is the 371, but not all have been scheduled, not all have been contacted. Of that, 119 have been contacted and successfully scheduled. Of that, 70 have been completed.
And of the total completed, how many of those were like on the spot?
It's hard to say, but we'd be guessing.
Is that something that?
I'm just questioning, like in terms of, because it seems like a lot of the success came from sort of going out, meeting people, and it seems like there might be some success with on the spot. I just wanted to get a sense of how.
We haven't actually looked at it. I mean, I don't know if you guys
However, we can tell you that the first time we went to Douglas Homes, they were there between 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. and they were able to get 10 interviews on the spot. So.
I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably about 25% to 30%, but that's really just a guess. But we can look at it and try to tell.
And after the data collectors are finished talking and they go through their slides, I'm going to come back before you and make an appeal, so please get ready.
Guys, come on up here.
As you can see from this slide right here is basically some things that we think of and we also feel, you know, that is, let's say, a good outreach method. We always try to encourage the people, you know, to speak out every time we go to their communities or, you know, just see anybody walking around. Sometimes they tend to back off and be like, I ain't really got time, you know. Sometimes it interferes with their day, but like they said, you have people who actually want to do on-the-spot interviews just because of maybe how you speak to them. You know, a lot of people don't like to talk, but if you really dig into it and like, you know, what do you want to talk about? What are your concerns? That's what they have. But like it says, the second one, it can be challenging to get some people to talk because, you know, what do you want to talk about? Like, why do you want to get to know me? Like, why do you want to hear my story? Who am I? Is basically the kind of attitude that we probably deal with the most. I guess because, you know, some people are in disbelief to hear about somebody actually caring about what they have to say. I mean, me, myself, sometimes when I meet these people, you know, it's like they don't even understand how much of a gem they are. They don't want to give specific names because, you know, we all have the little thing that we call, you know, some people call it nosy, other people say, if you tell something, you're snitching, they don't want to give specific names. I mean, some people may want to look at it like that, but it's not really like that. It's just, I guess that they don't feel comfortable telling you about another person's, you know, what did they feel because they can't speak for that person, or, you know, sometimes they just don't want to give up the name.
What John's referring to is we ask about specific people. Is there someone in this community that you turn to, or many people turn to for help, that, or in one way or another? And sometimes there might be a little red to give an actual name of somebody, something like that.
As I said, people make personal connections because when you hear somebody, I guess sometimes me and myself, I can tell from the passion in some people's voices that I can truly feel where they're coming from because I see it every day myself because I am one of the regular civilians that we're talking to. So for me to hear something about, you know, before I was born and everything, and to see everything now, it's like almost like I wish I was living back then, because it seems like a more simpler time when now everything is so complex. I guess some people, when you talk to them, you just kind of understand where they're coming from, because when you look at it, when you look at somebody, and you know, after you already get through and you hear their whole, it's like almost hearing a cry, and it's like you're crying with them, because it's like, oh, you hear so much negative. I've been out and I've heard so many negative beginnings, but when we reiterate questions, or you know, kind of flip them around, or just like a certain way that you might speak, they're more open to hear what you have to say, and now they're okay and comfortable with what you have to say, and they're going to make impressions of their own and come out and say whatever they got to say that you want to hear. Building relationships are important, because you know, there's nothing like trust. I mean, if I knew you, I'd probably trust you, or I probably wouldn't, but for you to just come up and be like, hey, how you doing? No, back off. Like, I don't trust people that's too willy-nilly now, you know what I mean? So go ahead along. But some of the challenges, I myself have seen racism as far as doing this, you know, and it's not even almost a kick you down type of racism. It's just like you can tell the tension is there when you look at somebody's face, when you come up to them and you be like, hey, how you doing? Touch me. You know, like, I don't want anything to do with you. So like, and it's kind of crazy, because I'm like, wow, okay, let them go ahead. But I mean, for the most part, I haven't really experienced a lot of racism. Of course, I think because we interview younger people, they talk about negative things, is because, like, look at the time that they're going through. Like, look at the sort of era. Because when you interview someone older, it's almost like hearing a dream, so to speak. But if you interview some, you know, some younger people, it's like, dang, like, it's really like that for you? Like, is that all you see it as? I happened to interview one person, and he was a young guy. I mean, he was probably about like 2 years, maybe 3 years younger than me. And it was just like the most amazing thing ever, because it was like he had nothing bad to say. And I'm like, that particular, it's a couple of them that particularly stand out to me. But one of those, that one particularly touches me, because I'm like, dang, like, it's crazy, because I didn't hear any, like, I heard one story about him, you know, some guys in the neighborhood drew some guns, and an older cat came out there, and he was like, chill, took the guns from everybody, and they scrapped up like, you know, like back in the day. So, you know what I mean? I mean, they walked away, whatever was there, stayed right there in the square circle, and they walked away from it, you know what I mean? I don't know if they're friends or anything like that, but that's where the story ended. And, yeah, some residents do feel like they snitching. So,
one of the things that Juwan is talking about is that even as we're going out there to try to find out what's positive and what are the good things and what are the assets, it can be hard for residents to focus on the positive. It's so much easier to focus on the negative things as those things come out. And so they actually have to work pretty hard sometimes to keep the people they're interviewing on the positive side of the coin. That's one of the points he's trying to bring out.
I was talking about some people are fearful because, you know, like I said, like, why do you want to talk? That could be one of the basis of the reason, like, I don't know you, why you don't know me, the way you're going to swindle me. There's a lot of things that a person might think, just a, you know, average Joe coming to you from a different walk of life, coming up like, hey, how you doing? I don't know you. And I don't know why that is, because, you know, some people, they are like that. But for the most part, I know I interviewed some people that might be scared to do that. This points out to me a lot because I'm like, why don't any of the residents in their community know that we're coming around? Like, I mean, I could get into the subject, but that's neither here nor there. But when they go outside, it's like, how am I supposed to be aware for change? Because that's what we all hope comes from this, is a change. You know, I don't know if it's going to be a good change or if it's going to stay the same, but that's basically what I believe everybody's in this room for, is they want to see a change.
That's right, that's right. So,
My whole thing is that if a person doesn't know, and a person, like I said, somebody coming up to you out of nowhere and trying to give you some information about something, and you be like, and like when we get into it, and we tell them like, yeah, this was, this is just a project that we're trying to do. Yeah, it took place, it started this, that, and the third, and they're like, why didn't I know about this? I live right up the street from John Hopkins, like they know where the UHI building and all that is. So and they be like, well, why didn't I know about this? And like maybe some neighborhood leaders, like a couple of neighborhood leaders that I've met are like, well, I didn't know nothing about this. And I'm like, why wouldn't you know about this? You know what I mean? But then some of the residents, like I said, they tend to back away from people when they go outside because, everybody's scared. Everybody thinks they're, somebody out to get them. True enough in many aspects, but I guess that's what it is.
Why don't we go on to the next one and offer you?
Well, I just was going to kind of piggyback on something that he had mentioned with our Miss Brinson when I go out. I wanted to point out the partnering piece. There's a lot of partners on the list that we have, and while we're recruiting, we actually been to a lot of those organizations, and the staff aren't aware of this initiative at all. So it's kind of hard to go in to talk to them, and as well as putting up literature. So I think that's very important. I don't know why, but there's a lot of partners that's on the list, and when you go to the companies, they don't know anything about this initiative. And also, I wanted to emphasize on the importance of people knowing who you are. It seems like when they know who you are, they really understand the importance of what we're trying to do, and plus they feel comfortable and they're willing to do interviews. So I think that, that's a very important piece. A lot of times we out in the street, we meeting strangers, and a lot of them clueless. They don't know what we're talking about, and a lot of them not trusting. For example, I had an interview with one lady. She was a senior, and I really felt her. Her granddaughter had told her, this is what she told me, that she didn't feel comfortable with. First of all, we work as a team. She didn't really want me to come see her as a team because she felt threatened. And she was very elderly, so she couldn't come to the office. She didn't want to do it downstairs in the lobby because she didn't want people in her business. And she was afraid that they would see my shirt and, wonder what she's doing. So she was a very private person. So I had to really comfort her on the phone to let her know that I wasn't going to attack her or anything. But she said, well, my granddaughter told me that don't let anyone in here, because people are doing a lot of negative things these days. So that's a really hard piece for a lot of older people. Yes, we do invite people to the office, but some of them don't have the means of getting to the office, and they're aware of the crimes and things that's going on.
It's basically scared to step outside on their,
right.
On their welcome mat, they're scared.
Right. And then in the interviewing process, what we're finding out is a lot of times we really have to pull information out of a lot of people. A lot of people don't really understand that they're important, and a lot of them not aware of what's going on. So what I'm finding out is a lot of linking. I might interview you, you don't have an idea of, you might have a child and they need assistance with GED, and then you tell me during the interview process there's nowhere in your community for them to get help. Then I might interview someone else, and then they give me a wealth of resources. So I think that's a wonderful thing, but we have to find a way to link them all together. So I'm finding that one person have a wealth of information and our person needed. Like I had one interview. This lady she really was interested in helping seniors. She wanted to start a program in her community with seniors. Then I met another senior that was in a high rise. Once again, it was a sad story because she said she's not interested in gossiping and playing bingo. She wanted to be more involved in her community and do things. So that was a connection right there, but it just was a matter of linking them two together. And also, I want to point out one thing. A lot of people talk about a lot of negative about Hopkins, but every interview that I had so far, people use the services and they very, excited about Hopkins.
Why don't we go through that and then we'll take a few questions about that.
interest from residents to volunteer, but they don't always know where the resources are.
So these are the actual, some preliminary actual findings, what they're actually learning, not just the experience.
I think it's kind of sad that, you know, somebody wants to volunteer or do services for their community, but they don't know where to go. And, you know, like I said, I think every community should have some type of bulletin, you know, anywhere, you know, because you never know what's going down to help you, and it's right in your own backyard, you know what I mean? So some people identify needs and gaps. All the seniors I've had interviews with seem like they get around pretty good. Some don't go anywhere, you know, they just chill. Because, you know, that's what they do, they seniors. You know what I'm saying? They chill, don't do nothing. Some people, when it comes to resources as well, you know, like they know where to go get it, but it's all like what would they need me for, like a sort of attitude to go with it. Or, you know, just some people just don't want to do nothing. I mean, to be perfectly honest, some people, you know, call us, let us know they'll do an interview, and after that you call them to set up the interview, it's the wrong number. Like, how do I have the wrong number? Like, I just talked to you, like, or it's off. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of crazy things. Like, this week alone, like, I've tried, me and my diet partner tried to get with 3 specific people, but, you know, one we got to, but he was the 4th one. Got one for Saturday. Then it's just crazy. It's a lot of craziness, but it's when you see it and you know you're there to help, it's all worth it. What are people's reactions to the asset? Yeah, they be all pretty curious to find out. As a first list states, most people are receptive and apprehensive at the same time, because, you know, like, they hear what you're saying, but it's almost like, I don't know, you're gonna swindle me. I don't know. But people want to know how it will help and what will happen next. I believe that's why we create a brochure. So, I mean, we can't actually tell you like everything step by step, but we can tell you, you know, what are some of the changes that we expect from this. I try to tell the people that I interview, you know, if they ask about change, what is going to come of this, I don't know. I just hope it's good. You know, I'm not going to sit here and specifically say, oh yeah, this is going to come back, or this is going to happen. Like, no, I don't want to build your hopes up and then, you know, it's like, wow, you just shot me down. Yeah, a lot of people have skills and trades. Like, I met with the lady, I think it was yesterday. She sings at our church, you know, and some people, you know, call her, ask her, can she sing at other churches? And I think that's an asset, you know, like, I look at it like it's community gospel star or something like that, you know. You go to some churches, sing, people know you sing. Skills and trades also, she was very well handling with computers. People are not certified, and that's kind of crazy because I'd be like, wow, you can do all this, but you have no paper to back this up. And I'm like, I wish I knew somewhere that could give you the help for an affordable fee, but I just know schools right now, even a trade school, is very costly. Like, and you know, like, people want to go to work and get these trades and everything, but it's like, I don't see nothing out here that can really benefit me in a financial way, so I can go about doing this. Community stories.
Can I just explain one thing, John? So, for those of you who don't know, these actually are 5 of the categories of assets that we're asking about. So, individual assets, and the bottom line here is that there are many individual assets that we're learning about. Physical assets could be buildings or communities, communication, and paid groups or voluntary groups that people work with that could also be considered assets. There are a couple more categories, but that's why those things are in those buckets up there.
As I told you about the story about when the guy prevented the gun violence from going down, communications, a lot of people, I've heard word of mouth a lot because you know, it's like somebody across the street knows, and you heard from the lady down the street who got 13 cats. It's crazy, but I don't think there's enough paper flying around besides the trash I see. You know what I mean? And it's not, you know, like it's crazy that a lot of people have to hear word of mouth about things for their child. Like, and I find it crazy that, you know, some of the churches, you know, only do something for their specific area, you know what I'm saying? So it's like only those people know. I mean, like, hey, it's a community, you know what I mean? No matter how many streets you live up the block or down the block, you know, I feel as though, you know, if there's this many churches in this whole community, you know, somebody should know somebody and bring that together, you know? So for you to hold a block party for just this block, you know, and nobody knows about the resources that you're giving at this block party or things of that nature, it's like, wow, so many people missed out on this, you know what I mean? And I think it could be more events, you know, myself, I think it could be more events like this, you know, little drives in the neighborhood, you know, it could be a food drive, how they have in Thanksgiving, you know, not just for any specific block, but, you know, for a whole community, by like community leaders and stuff like that, if you can get some people to rally up and do things like that. Paid groups, the schools and churches, that I hear some of them like that. Red Cross and Blue Shield is an insurance company that I heard through somebody who used to work in the past. Recreation centers, I tend to hear, you know, they need to bring those back, you know, community centers as well. Soup kitchens, I hear about those. Salons, you know, people say, yeah, you can post stuff in here for that. But I mean, as far as the asset buckets go, you know, you hear a lot of particularly individual assets to me. Because as we know, there's a lot of libraries and everything, rec centers and everything shut down. And you know, I hear their cry because most of these people that I talk to are grandparents. You know, and it's like, yeah, my kid's straight, but now it's time for me to worry about, you know, my grandchild. Like, I don't know what time my grandchild's coming home because there's not a rec center I could call, you know, that I know he's safe at. Or, you know, there's a lot of things in the neighborhood. Like, I walk past, you know, an abandoned building, you know, some people tear them down and use them to put people in for a high price. Like, why not, if you're going to knock down that and knock down those 5 homes, build a center where people can come to and just, you know, do arts and crafts with their kids or something like that, just like in the middle of a neighborhood. But, slide.
That's me.
Go ahead, you spread the word.
I want to thank Althea and Jawan for giving their perspective, and on behalf of all of my data collectors, this is a segue into the communications update. We need your help. Okay, all partner that's sitting in this room, all partner that's not sitting in this room, that you know where they are, how to contact them. We need your help. Okay? In the last 30 days or more, they faced a whole lot.
Yep.
And more than we anticipated them facing. And the reason why I'm saying we need the all partners assistance, because you have resources. You have connections. You have referrals that they can sit down and talk to. We can sit down and talk to you. You're an asset to the community. So I'm standing here on behalf of my team asking you all to give of yourself, give of your time, give of your resources, give of your influence and connection where you are to bring us more interviews. Okay? There's a flyer that's been created by our lovely Sam. And this is an awesome depiction of what we're doing. It talks about what we're doing. It tells you everything that you need to know and how to contact. Okay, so if you need those, we'll supply you with those. We have brochures that talks about the asset mapping project. I'm not sure we have our inserts here, but there's an insert that goes in this brochure that talks about the asset mapping piece alone. Okay, this talks about the full spectrum of the project, but the insert talks about the asset piece just what we're doing, collecting data. Here is the interview sign-up form. So at the end of the night, we need all partners to come and sign up. Let us know when you're available, what time, interview location. If you know of anybody else, we have more referral forms to get the ball rolling. Okay? So we're out here raising awareness, we're building relationships, but we need your help. You are a bridge to what we need to get done. Fair enough? Question?
Do you have a piece like this to actually go to the people in the community that you want to interview? 'Cause this is more so for the partners, like a piece that you give to the partners to get our engagement, right?
No, that isn't the brochure.
This is the brochure for the community?
Insert. That's what I'm saying. There is an insert that goes in that brochure that talks specifically about the asset mapping portion that we're doing.
Is it like simpler language or?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what the insert is.
All right.
And the data collectors help create that insert, and that's why it goes in the brochure.
And the flyer is also mostly based on the insert, the one-page flyer.
Exactly.
So the flyer could work too, and we have those without the tear-offs.
Yes, we have those without the tear-offs, and we have some with the tear-offs to place wherever. So this is a good segue into the communications board, because they're gonna come back and pretty much say some more of the same things that I just said. And, yeah, the other question?
One mechanism that we might consider using, which is sort of like broad spread, is if you take the existing context, like if you were to send that to every health ministry in every church.
We're going to talk about that.
That's communication.
We're going to come back.
So it's like a segue. Yes, in the back?
Any questions about what was presented, or maybe that's it? Yeah.
So you guys mentioned a lot of times that the phones didn't work. When you have people, when you sign up people, are you getting alternative, like, ways beyond phones?
Yes.
Because, like, phones I know in Baltimore City go off 2 weeks before the end of the month, and you get a new phone in the beginning of the month. So it's like, it's the...
Mary, we're asking, you know, for multiple phone numbers, email addresses, how to contact.
But even, like, what rec center do you go to so that you can maybe go meet them? If you don't catch them at that, you could be standing at the rec center the next week and maybe catch them as they walk in.
Well, I'll explain to you the sort of process that we have been using and the process, the recruitment process that we are developing, which we'll get into.
I'll elaborate on that.
What's that?
What we're actually trying to do, which is still in the process right now, is build relationships with centers so we can actually have recruitment events. And that's something we also need all partners' help on, because you might have connections to that center or someone who has connection to someone at that center. And that would bring us a lot more breaking ground. So we're doing what we can and we're contacting them, but when we contact them, it's kind of like, who are y'all and what y'all about, even when we explain it. So with that being said, the main focus is we need everyone's help. If we're gonna reach some type of peak, if we have some type of expectancy here, we're gonna need every hand in. Everybody's gonna have to do their part as well.
Like,
make all the connections you can.
Like from my understanding, in the past, for a past time when the teams are recruiting, my brother actually went into Johns Hopkins, and I know when you guys said a lot around this room, Johns Hopkins was in it, and he got held up by a security guard. Like, even the security guard should know about that. He's a citizen too.
Not physically held up, but
yeah.
They hindered what I was doing because
you know, that's crazy. Like how can Hopkins not know about a Hopkins project? Like
it's not knowing. It's a policy approaching patients.
Yeah. This is a good segue into sort of into the next section that we're going to talk about.
Everybody.
So the bottom line of what we've been trying to first present to you is that we have succeeded in phase one. What's phase one? Phase one is getting the program up and running. Hiring the data, finish the planning, hiring the data collectors, training them, and start them out on doing their work. We have successfully, all of us together, have successfully done that. And as you can see, we're starting to get information about what people think are assets in several categories. I've had a brief overview and some reflection on the experiences that our data collectors are having. Roughly speaking, we're getting a conversion rate, that is the number of scheduled to the number that actually become interviews, of a little over 50%. And basically, up to this point, it had been essentially a cold call system. We just, see somebody, tell them, and try to get a conversion. Now, a rate of 50% for cold calls is actually not that bad, because it is, that's what I keep trying to tell them. But for a cold call system, it's usually more around 10 to 20%. But so on the one hand, we want the message we've been trying to communicate to the data collectors is to feel good about what they've been doing in terms of getting a 50 to 55% range. But the other side of the coin is we've planned to do over 500 of these, and we only have funds for a certain amount of time. And so a 50% rate, even though it's good, it's not enough to be able to help us finish in the time that we have, and we may not be able to get more money to go on. So phase 2 then is bumping the program up to the next level, getting those conversion rates up, developing a recruitment, an awareness and recruitment strategy that involves all of us and not just our data collectors and Tara and Murren sitting on the phones inside. And that's really what we've come to talk about. We've been thinking and working on developing a strategy over the last week and have started to roll it out with the data collectors yesterday and today. And so let me sort of lay out to you both what we're planning on doing and how we would like specifically, and Tara started to say specifically how you can help us and how we're going to get those rates up and finish this in the time that we have. Do you have a question?
No, just a statement. To summarize, basically what he said was just the only strategy is extra help. Us as data collectors and also being citizens of some of these communities, we've exhausted all our resources. So now we have to reach out to you, and we need you to reach out to others. I mean, even so, still, you can interact with people in the community as well. It could be somebody you could be just walking by, don't know. Just get them interested the same way we would. I mean, it's not mandatory, but it's necessary. It's very necessary in order to reach some height in this project.
Yep, and we're going to give you specific ways on how to do that. So here's what we're going to, I'm sorry, question?
What time frame are you looking
Originally, we planned for about 8 weeks, 2 months, and that originally was to start September 1st. I think it was September 1st. So if we were on that timeline, we'd be getting pretty close to the end of it. Truth is, a lot of things took a little longer than others, and so we're at 70, we're not even close. Right. So we are now having discussions with Dr. Blum and others about how long we can continue it. We know we're not going to end at the 31st of October. We know that. But we know we can't go on forever either. But I think it's safe to say we have several more weeks, maybe as long as the holidays, Christmas, maybe to do this. And I think it's possible to do within that period of time as we employ the strategies that we're going to talk about tonight. Any other questions about sort of what was presented before we go forward? Okay. So on one side, we want to get more names in the bucket, more potential contacts. On the other side, we want to raise the conversion rate from 50% to 80, 90%. We'll never get them all. So let's deal with that side of the coin first. As those of you who are researchers know, recruitment involves many things. It's more than just getting the interview. And so what we've we're trying to do is expand the recruitment process to, instead of being a one-step process, oh, I see you, tell you about the program, give me an interview, change it into a 3-step process. So at least 3 steps, so that any person that actually gets an interview, by the time they say yes or you ask them for an interview, that will have been at least the 3rd time they've heard about it or interacted with you or somebody in the program. And so that allows for a little bit of a relationship to be built, and by the time you ask for that interview, it's not a cold call again. So we're trying to put in place a systematic process that at least, I mean, some people will do it on the first time, and we'll take all those we can get. But we're putting in place a 3-step process. The first step is building awareness about the program, help promoting the program. The second step is following up any questions, a little more promotion, and then the 3rd step is actually trying to make a conversion. If the conversion can't be made at that time, is there a time we can come back? Is there a better time for you? So it really is a four-step process. One, the promoting program is really taking these flyers and going out in 3 or several ways. One is door to door. And today they went out, starting in a region starting about at Patterson Park and South Patterson Park Avenue, and going, I guess that's east, back this way. So we're going to do some of that. That's one type of activity, not for the purpose of primarily to get an interview, to say, hey, this is what's going on, leave a door tag, leave a flyer. We will be back in your community in a week or 2. Hopefully, if we can answer any questions, tell us a good time, and maybe we'll get an interview. Then we'll come back again and do that. That's one type of activity. The other type of activity is reaching out to the businesses. Many people have indicated that these are assets, and so we're going to be reaching out to the business owners and these establishments, doing the same kinds of things. And the third thing is in-person community-based organizations like churches, like other things. And it could be on a Sunday, one of us or one of the data collectors, somebody saying something about this for a few minutes. It could be taking 50 or 100 of the flyers and having them pass them out with their bulletins for the church service. Those kinds of things, and going back again. Or if they have a health fair or something going on, be present there and being able to talk it up. And so, particularly on that side, this is one area where you can help us. There are over 900 churches in Baltimore. We can't hit them all. They're not all in East Baltimore. Which ones are the high priority ones that we should target? And would you be willing to make the first call to that church to say either, hey, would you be willing to set something up so somebody could come to talk, or you tell them about, again, by the time we talk to them, it would be at least the second time, and that sort of thing. Adrian?
Just from somebody who works for churches all the time, I would target churches. I mean, you go into a church, 50% of the people who come there don't live around here.
That's right.
So I would target churches that at least there is some expectancy that somebody can walk to church.
Yeah.
And so I would actually look in those zip codes that have communities that surround them where people are walking to church.
Right.
And
what we would like you to do, actually starting tonight, is help us with that process. You may know some in your brain right now.
Yeah,
we got some paper here. We want you to write those names down, even if you don't know the address, the name of the church, maybe the pastor, a phone number if you have it. We can look it up if you don't. And hopefully you'd be willing at least to make that first contact for us. We want to leave here tonight with several things. One is the names of some churches that are exactly what Adrian is talking about, that you already know about. We will also be looking at the list. We have the list of all the churches in all the zip codes, but it's a huge list. And so,
see, that really does not work. What works is having the inside.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's exactly why we're starting here with you guys tonight. Yep.
Yeah, a couple comments. Dan Hale over at Dayview, who is doing the health ministry, the outreach.
Yep.
So he probably would have some ideas of some target churches where they would have some people that would be willing to contribute.
Absolutely, I know
Also,
Dan.
yeah, I think there's a meeting in Berea tonight there was a meeting I know there the other night. In fact, I think Leon and Deborah Hickman and a couple
Well, that's the
other people.
HEZ project.
Yeah.
It was here last night.
Okay, but there's also another meeting tonight.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because I heard that there were some people that were gonna come here tonight that weren't. But anyway, I think going to some of the community meetings.
That's what we're coming just to,
Okay.
that's the next thing after the churches.
Okay.
But
You're not there, okay.
yeah, we're gonna make several asks of you tonight. And we're hoping that everybody at a minimum will write down some things. One of the things we want you to write down, and Tara or somebody, or maybe get a piece of paper just with churches on it and start passing it around, is names of churches in East Baltimore that you think would be the best places for us to start, and put your name there so we know who did it, and we can reach out to you to make that first
I think
call.
the danger in that, we have to do that, but it has to be relational. And we talked about that, and I understand the urgency in us doing this. I'm going to call it a name dump, but it's not going to be effective that way. And I think, you know, what we're talking about now, when we look at the overall process of where we started this, as we're celebrating the successes, we have to also jot down our lessons learned. And I want to make certain that we're taking ownership as CHI, as the all partners, who many of which are not here tonight, that we're taking ownership of what we can do better to, you know, to kind of systemically support them. Because I don't think the name dump is going to work, just following names, because it's not going to be through the same person.
Maybe I'm miscommunicating, because I'm not, what I'm hearing is not what I think I'm hearing you, what I'm trying to say is not what I hear you say. So let me first try to understand what you're saying.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say, but maybe not saying very well, is that it's not just about the name of a church, because you're right. I don't have a relationship, or the data collectors don't have a relationship with maybe 90% of the churches that are here. But my thought was that some of you have relationships with those churches, and that you would suggest the names that you do have relationships with, and that you would be willing to use that relationship that you have as a starting point for making this go forward.
Okay, so
Is
we're on
that-
the same page
we are?
so far.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So
All
we're
right.
on the same page there. I think the other thing that I'm saying, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I know
Yeah.
the urgency
Sure.
of this piece, and we can maybe talk offline.
Sure.
But we have to look at systemically, how can we support this? You know, and what can we do better? Because we're looking at this initiative to replicate. That's what we talked about. It's an
Sure.
integrative strategy to engage communities, to map assets, and to then begin to connect those assets. So as we look at that, we have to look at our lessons learned. And it spoke to what Tara started with and what Afia started with when she said she contacted all partners who didn't know about the initiative. So how do we, what lessons have we learned in that, and how do we get it out through, you know, what can we do to help support these so that when they come in, they don't have to do what we have not?
So you're trying to say, what can all partners do
What have we learned
themselves?
from this that we're not going to do again?
Okay, all right. Okay.
Well, what I would think would be an effective way is everybody who's sitting at this table have some sort of connection to East Baltimore, or you have a purpose that you are an all partner. So the purpose of you being an all partner meaning is that you have the connection to East Baltimore. So the resources that you have and the context that you have, or the purpose for you being a part of an all partner for East Baltimore should be the purpose for you to recruit for the program, one. Two, the information, like if you are like, even like, you know, it doesn't mean so much more the churches or the outreach things, like when we were working with you up at Northeast Market, that thing, like if you're going to another site to do outreach, call one of us and maybe we can attend it and go with you. You know, that's what I'm saying. The partnership should be far greater than just us always meeting at a meeting. It should be, if you have some community things or anytime.
Dovetailing activities that are planned, which we can do that here. I'll bring you into a budget.
Let me just say, I'm trying to.
I think we just need to, what we're trying to do here is do it like one step at a time.
Right.
These are things that we've talked about, and what
Absolutely.
you're saying is absolutely crucial, especially in terms of replication. You can't put something out there. But I think what we're trying to get at tonight, and what we talked about in the communication meeting,
Right.
is that we want to put out various ways
Right,
that
exactly.
those who are sitting around the table and those who are not sitting around the table but are all partners
That's right.
can have ways to give input. So we may name 10 ways, but there may be 10 more.
Right.
And that's what we want to get at here.
That's
We
right.
also want to be able to go into those 10 ways.
That's right.
And one of the things about having you guys at the table, when you're hearing these 10 ways that we're giving out, maybe you're saying, well, there's something else that you could do in order for you all partners to actually be active and involved. So he's trying to give you the ways that we want to actually have the all partners pull in and actually be part of this physically and be active in doing so. But then once he gives that, you are the ones here sitting at the table and say, well, maybe there's other ways that we can do this. So tonight we're coming together not only with what we're bringing to the table,
Right.
but what everybody at the table is saying, okay, there's more ways that we can do this.
Right. So let me do this. Maybe this will help. And I'm coming to you. As soon as after he speaks, because we talked about a whole variety. Some of the things that you're mentioning, I just haven't said them yet. So after he gives his comment, then I'll give you everything we got, and then we'll discuss and see what's still missing or what we need to add or how we can go about it. Sound good? Okay.
Well, the whole fact of the matter is, we all know the time is of the essence, and the pockets ain't that deep. So we need to really emphasize the relationships that are already built, because in order to build relationships, it's going to take a lot more time than we have. Statistics show that most people have to see a commercial more than 20 times before they use the product. So, with that being said, if you're going to try to build relationships, we have to extend the program. We have to. It's no other option. If not, we have to focus on the relationships that we have.
Right.
I'll just speak for me because I got lost in the sauce a long time ago. Because when you asked me for names, I did this. I don't think that way. I would never cherry pick a community.
Right.
And so I think systemically. And so I guess I was sort of waiting for somebody to say, what systems can you impact? Because then I could say Head Start and churches, and I can answer the question. But I think that's part of the problem, is the planning for the strategy was never communicated in a way that I felt like would be helpful. I could pick 5 names of people who live in the community, all 5 say no. Even if I talk to them. But if I go into a meeting and present all partners and make the ground fertile for you, and then say, okay, can we get a date that is an interview date? You promise that you're dropping off, you will stay for an interview, it'll be different. That's how I know how to work. And so, so I think.
And that's how we want you to work.
Yeah.
I hope. You guys are saying much better what I'm trying to say, because what I'm hearing you say is no disagreement with what I'm trying to say, but I'm not communicating about tonight.
So I love my breakfast on Saturday, and I love chai materials, and I will talk at all the tables, and I will get names.
Okay. So let me.
Y'all get your ticket.
You got to pay you back?
All right, so let me just tell you how we thought about it, but it's exactly what Adrian is saying. That's exactly what we're talking about. We talked about some key things to hit. One is the churches as a key resource, and we thought about getting names and contact information as you being the ones with the relationships, whether you're going in to talk to them or sit at their booths or whatever, to start that process for us, exactly what we mean. Maybe I communicated it wrong. So that's sort of one group of things, churches. Another one was exactly what a couple people have said. We talked about community-based organizations, the neighborhood associations and the community-based associations as another set of organizations that we think it's very important. Again, we don't have relationships with. There are many of them in East Baltimore. We want to solicit from you tonight if you think that's the best way to do it. We still do, because we want to know what people are doing and where we need to go. What are those organizations that we think are important to get? And that you have a relationship with that can help us start making headway with those organizations for our data collectors? Churches, CBOs, neighborhood MCOs.
Is this program willing to work with other MCOs?
Managed care organizations? We're willing to work with anybody who wants to work with us.
In terms of
So
like
if that's,
approach that Adrian's talking about.
yes, so, and that's what we're saying. We knew we didn't think about all of them, but we're just going to dump on you what we have, and then you can give us more. That's another one. If you got resources with MCOs, we'll definitely put
Maybe
that
we
down.
could get permission, since it's open enrollment period for Hopkins Health Plan, if we could ask Patty Brown, can we sit at the EHP table?
That's a possibility. So she's talking about this is the time when insurance plans enroll people every year. It's once a month, and maybe we can get some access there to a whole bunch of people. That's an idea. We'll write that one down. Maybe you can help us think about how we might.
They're out there right now. They're going to be out there for the next
Right.
2 months, and everybody's standing there asking questions about benefits.
Right.
What about through all the CBOs who are with UHI, and what about the CBOs who work through Source? Can we do something systemically through Source?
I think we can. I think we can. Absolutely. And Mindy's a part of this group. She's just not here tonight.
I'm here.
Oh, sorry. That's right.
Yeah, I was just asking Liz to send me information tomorrow so we can send an email out to our CBOs.
Good. The last, the other major group we talked about, senior centers. There are several senior centers or high-rise buildings or other places where seniors go. And Roxy has actually already volunteered to be the one. She has relationships with several of these to spearhead that in that direction. And that's what we're talking about. The ones that the places that you guys have relationships, let us know about them if you're willing to help us make the inroads into potentially getting some interviews. And the way we do it, as Adrian's bringing out, is variable. It's not just say, let them talk. It might be going in and giving a talk or these other things. But please, on the papers that are going around, put your name and what you might have a relationship with. So MCOs is a new one. We'll put that one down. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go to Constance and then we'll come over here.
Dr. Gibson, nothing to try to throw a monkey wrench in, and bring partners in. But is there any type of feedback that we're giving to those that we have interviewed? Because a lot of them are asking the question, what is this going to do? Why am I talking? Why am I giving you this conversation? What's going to happen? Will I know? How is it going to come back to me?
Yeah. So, in general, in the past, we've talked about, we definitely are going to feedback the information. We haven't yet talked about exactly how, exactly when, and exactly what. We need to talk about that, and we need to decide. But you can tell them at least, yes, we will. But we'll get back with you. I don't know if Nan or others want to say anything else about that.
Well, I mean, I can't say that this will happen, but like sitting here looking at the results that were up there, the first thing that occurred to me is, how do I find out how people who have the skills in a skilled trade get certified? Like, is there what's the way that happens, and is there any kind of thing we could set up? I mean, we already have a finding that there are all these people out there that have skills, and they are not certified, which is a barrier to getting a job. Well, that's a problem to work on then. You know, we've got, and that would be the way my mind would work. What sorts of resources?
So here's what I think we should do on that specific thing. Whichever work group it makes the most sense, it might be methods, it might be one of the others, begin thinking about, okay, so one way to do this is to say we won't communicate until the end and we have everything and we know it and we talk, we find ways. Or you could say, kind of as we did tonight, we'll give you a little bit of what we know, it's not done, and as time we'll keep doing more. Maybe we should do it that way. But I think we need to talk it through and sort of think about what's the best way to do what you're
constantly
right.
coming up. Will I know
Right.
what?
And it'll probably come up more. Let's go here and then continue.
A couple things. Number one, I think markets are also good places.
Farmers markets, that's another one, okay.
I think that it's critical.
Do you have any relationships that could
No, I
help
wish I
us?
did. No,
Okay,
I don't.
okay.
I think that it's critical, going back to what Edie said and what Constance has said and other people have said. I think when you're asking people to take, and what the guys have said, when you're asking people to take their time to give an interview, and he's picking up there's an immediate need for people, so there's a skill there without the certification. When you get back to somebody in a timely fashion, then they have more buy-in, and then you build that relationship. And then they can say to a friend of theirs, hey, you know what, I was interviewed, and I can't believe I actually heard back from the guy, because I think that, reflecting off of what a lot of people have said in the past about how Hopkins kind of uses community members. So in this situation, right, they don't feel like that, you know, that you're being used, they feel like you're actually addressing something.
Right.
And also, I know with like all the different kind of meetings I've gone to, different conferences and all, actually, I don't know if you had one from a conference, but I was noticing during your bag. You know, I don't know that you're giving the people anything. I think it's really cool to actually give them something, whether it's a little health kit that has CHI on it, because that, because Tyler was saying about, you know, you gotta see a commercial 20 times. I mean, sometimes when you're seeing CHI, all different times, and people are actually physically getting something that maybe they can use to be healthier, or, you know, it's a coupon to the farmer's market, or it's a combination goodie bag.
Yeah.
Then I think then that's also. Another thing, two other things. I was just at a conference this weekend up in New York, and as much as there's some people who were very professional and had business cards, that was great. A lot of people didn't, so what they would do is say, I'm going to call your cell phone number right now.
Yeah.
And then you've got my number. So I think for when people are going out and you're getting numbers, but then you call that number and it's not a real number, if you say to that person, can you call my cell phone now? Because then I'll put your name in.
Yep.
And then you actually have, you know that you've got the correct number for them.
Right. Yeah, that's a common trick that we gotta use. Just on the question, just so everybody knows, right now, as of today, we're not giving the interviewees anything. And it's something that has come up. Obviously, it involves a cost. And so we have to discuss with Dr. Blum and others
Mary
about.
can speak to that. We are giving them a few resources.
So sometimes I have the opportunity when I'm making the interviews to find out what kind of resources they might need. And then, like for instance, someone needed information on physical therapy. I pulled aside Amira. I don't know where she went, but she knows the community very well. So I was able to print that information out for him with, you know, the map and everything. And then someone else needed information on, you know, food. How can I get food and things like that. Again, I consulted Amira. And also, you know, and we were able to give that person that information. So in an informal kind of way.
We're giving informational things, but you're talking about tangibles.
Yeah, and again, a tangible that also, and I think that's phenomenal. Because I think that as much as we want to manage, you know, we want to map the assets, when you can meet someone's immediate need, that is so much more relationship building than anything else. And then, yeah, I think that something to have it's tangible that has the UHI logo on it. You know, you want it.
We have little backpack bags that we've been starting to give away. When we have the group events or the Orange Spot events, we've had healthy snacks, as well as like the BPE Purple Book, the Leave Behind Consent Form. I mean, it's information, and we're also starting to gather resources to hand out. One of our data collectors over here, Althea, in her own personal notebook, I have all my data collectors have their own personal notebook of things that's important to them. She keeps her stuff stacked with resources. Because people respond to her when she says, well, I have information about a job, or I have information about this. And also, the use of incentives has come up quite a bit. Because we're not paying them, you know, what else can we do?
And I wouldn't even phrase it as an incentive.
Right.
It's a thank you.
Okay.
You know, so.
So we're discussing that now, just before that, we'll go there.
It's just for churches.
And I think the resource piece is very important. I think it's even more important than tangibles because, you know, a lot of these people from those I have interviewed so far, the main things they care about are the children and having jobs to take care of those children. Priorities. So for us to be able to come into them with an interview or even just to kind of give them a little incentive to do an interview. To say, hey, I got some resources on some jobs, some websites, give them somewhere they can go, you know, put the application in. I happen to know that Sojourner Douglas, you actually are allowed to come down there and use their computer lab for applications without being enrolled or anything. I was actually doing it for a long time, and I found that out through a friend who actually attended there. So they need things like that, you know, and I think that's a better setting. It's not as big, but it's a better setting than a library where you have time computers, you know. So giving them resources for jobs and programs for children and teens would ultimately give us a better response, because, and that's just based off the interviews that I've had previously, because what I hear most from people is the children, the education, the jobs, everything we need to basically is basically the foundation of our communities, period, whether it's a poor community or a wealthy one. It's the foundation of a community, period. So resources are very much needed, and somebody always knows something that somebody else doesn't know. Us, let's just collaborate all resources. That would be a big pickup. That would be a immediate pickup, I would think.
Good. Nan?
I'm wondering if we need to expand the emergency response committee, because it seems like from what Tyler just said and from what the other people have said, that we were very careful to envision a situation where a person had a health problem, and we would have a team ready to rush in to take care of a health problem, and we should do that, and that's our expertise after all. But it sounds like the emergency response team might need to be like some more people on it who are more knowledgeable. Maybe Source would be one place. It just seems like maybe we need some people on the emergency response team who can develop procedures for child resources, employment resources, so that we use that same model. I mean, what do people think about that?
I think that's a good idea. Some people don't. Some people see needing a job or just needing maybe an after-school program for their child as an emergency, instead of an urgency.
Well, it is an emergency. So anyway, I think the emergency response team might need to be expanded, and I think that might have to happen really soon.
So we'll put that down, and I'll have a conversation with Roz, the leader of that team, and think about how we can do that. I was
just going to ask, do you guys find people have access to email and that kind of stuff?
Most of them don't.
Not always.
Lots don't.
There's like Banner Neighborhoods is the community organizing group in this community that Beth Myers Edwards sends out monthly. Right. We just have to figure out. It's a resource. I was going to.
Email might not be.
No. I'm just trying to figure out how to connect. There's a lot of this kind of information in those monthly emails.
But I think it needs to be personal.
No, I agree.
I think it needs to be a response. Like, we don't want to give a booklet to someone who asks for an after-school program that starts with a bunch of job resources.
Here they are.
Like, we need a targeted response that this person wanted an after-school program. That's what we deliver.
And I think that's why the two people that recently that I was able to know exactly what they needed and give them that, they were delighted to.
Or the physical therapy place.
Yeah.
All
Like they
those
didn't
things
know.
are really
Like they didn't know where to
valuable.
go. Yeah.
And you know, and I think that you're absolutely on target, because I'm the very first one that says you need to have face-to-face. But I also think you never know who reads something. So I think in addition to that, we need to find a way of
saturation.
We're talking multiple ways. There's not any one way that's going to be perfect for everybody. That's why we're talking about multiple things tonight. And you won't be able to plug into all of these things, but there should be at least one or two that you can help with by your personal relationships, by your time, or something else.
I'm sorry, this is really quick. I think built into that, and then kind of going along with what Nan was saying, so, and what Tyler was saying, so if somebody comes and expresses an immediate need, you know, rather than kind of having a bag where everything's listed in there, which I think is also good, but a lot of us don't want to take time to read through things, and that personal contact really helps to reinforce the information they need. So if Tyler finds out from Mrs. Jones that Mrs. Jones needs after-school care for her child, I think it's good if Tyler is the one who follows back up. So instead of it going to someone else, again, that relationship building, so there's that trust that builds between the two of them.
In fact, that would have to be the case because of IRB. I mean, Tyler could not actually tell me.
Yeah, we'll have to sit down and work this out. I clearly hear you. This is something that we want to work on to make it happen. We want to make sure we do it right so we don't have any problems. I think there are two more, and then there's a couple other things. Roxy, did you?
There's just one more piece. We all know we're entering into the holidays. A lot of churches, and this may be one of the things that we do with churches, a lot of churches, there's a lot of programs, a lot of plays, a lot of giving out of baskets. There are major things regarding Thanksgiving. We need to try to find some of these places where we can pipe in, actually have people physically sitting there.
Events.
We think about Big Daddy every year.
That's right.
And if we have, but the big thing is we need legs. We need people, and we're not talking about just data collectors.
Right.
We need us
That's
to
right.
be willing to identify some of these places, and maybe as we meet in these upcoming weeks, we can put these lists together, but then people have to actually say, this is what I'm willing to go out and do.
This is what we're trying to talk about, just where all of us can plug in to help. Was it Adrian?
I just have to make this comment because I like to service the institutional memory. If Victor were here tonight,
Victor McCusick?
He said health and social services. And so the charge to that group originally was to plan an emergency response of health and social services.
Yeah.
And so I think he would be pleased that we experienced it, but we did not develop it, but that we are going to
developing.
I just have to tell you, I remember all things.
Okay. Good. So we gave you at least, so we talked about churches, community-based organizations, businesses, senior citizens' homes, events, and managed care organizations.
Yeah, farmers markets.
Farmers markets. Please.
Small grant recipients.
What's that?
Small grant recipients of UHI.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my point. If there are others, if there are others, please, please, please put it on the list that are going around and your name so that we can talk with you and make sure and find out what's the best way to begin to develop the relationship so that we can get some interviews out of it. Phil?
UHI has 3 or 4 years of community conversations and book clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have we shared those list of those?
Have not.
Folks who
That's a good thought.
Come because they were interested in Baltimore.
Right.
We have a relationship with them.
That's right.
Some of our people come to our events.
That's right. That's right.
High school registering.
That's right.
Many of them we hold in the community, so we know they're in Baltimore.
Okay, so that's the UHI events, the community conversations, the book clubs, all of which are about in East Baltimore, with East Baltimore people. Those are names of potential contacts. Juan, one more. And then we'll
I just had an idea. I don't know if anybody's familiar with NACA. It's actually like a program to help you with, housing and everything
What's
like
it
that.
called?
NACA.
Oh, NACA, right, yes.
Okay, I know that they're having something down at the convention center on the 29th of October where, it's a lot of people coming in. That's because my mom is a homeowner. So, those people, I think how to touch someone should be something that you care about the most yourself. Okay, I don't know if anybody around the table has kids, so anything that involves kids growing and learning to do things, I'm for. If you're for, you have some people out there who are for their creed, you know what I'm saying? You want to see something happen for them, So, the whole thing about it is touch places, if you know any place, that's going to have something basically to say a real American that's going through everyday struggles. Mm-hmm. Because everybody here has a resource, but not knowing how to get their resource out is what, is what I'm saying to everybody. You know, like, I don't know, like, you guys, you know, y'all might still have your parents or something like that who are homeowners that live on the east side, like, and to be like, well, yeah, you know, like, of course I own my home. You know some other home. When you're a homeowner, you know other homeowners. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, if you're a policeman, you know other policemen. It's like whatever you are, you know others of that. So, you know, like, and that's still a resource. So, you know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Get out there.
One last thing.
And one I forgot to say is polling places.
Holding places.
Yes, you get a lot of
It's a good idea. Do you have any relationships or any contacts?
Yeah, Obama and I are like this.
Okay. We're going to call it.
One thing real quick, tomorrow in zip code 21213, there's at Brems Lane Elementary School, there's a health and resources fair at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m.
Do you have any relationship there?
Yeah, actually somebody from our organization will be out there with the table.
So can we either be at your table, or if you know who to contact, can you ask to see if we can have a presence there?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Lee, Tara?
What date is that?
It's tomorrow, actually. Before you leave, can you just make sure that Tara and Mary get that information, your name and hustle, we can get that contact, and excellent. This is what I'm talking about, even tonight. Okay, so we're running out of time, but we're not going to be able to give you the whole thing tonight of what we've been thinking about, but we'll figure out a way to get it to you because we want your feedback about all of it. But there are two more sort of big items that we do need to get your feedback on tonight. One is another way. Now we're going to shift just a little to the another way of awareness building about this. One of the suggestions that came up, and we've had several meetings with the communications team, with various people, but one of the suggestions that came up was to develop a PSA, a public service announcement, and have it aired on local cable 25, which you can actually get to target certain communities. You can get it to target East Baltimore. Comcast is the local provider here that can do that.
And Radio 1, which you have your connection.
We have also talked about radio. We're going to save that one for another night, but we're going to talk about the TV. But we also talk about radio. We have a connection with Radio 1. We also have a connection with, I think it's WEAA. And we've actually already reached out to that one and already heard back that they are willing to have us come on the radio and talk this up. And so that's something that we're percolating in, and we'll be reaching out to find out who's the best person to do that. But I wanted to talk to you about the TV PSA tonight because we need some input from you. So we're fortunate. You never know who you're sitting with and who you're sitting next to, but the idea of PSA always comes up, and then is, well, how do you get it done? Well, we actually have somebody who's an all-partner, who's been with us for a while, who actually does that, who does that, who gets them done, has already gotten them done, and is willing to help us get one done right now. And just in case you didn't know, it's Miss Wanda Watts sitting right back over there. Wanda, if you didn't know, was the former mayor's special assistant. I'm forgetting your exact title. And so she has a broad wealth of experience and expertise in communications and all these kinds of things. To make a long story short, Wanda is now a part of a group that actually makes edits, shoots, films, edits, and can get on cable channel 25 2.5 minute, 1.5 minute PSAs. And what she has offered to do is to assist us in getting that project done for a very small cost. A very small cost of only $500. For $500, I'm coming to you, we will be able to get a PSA shot using Channel 25's cameras, get it edited, and get it shown on cable Channel 25 4 times a day for 28 days. 4 times a day for, is that right? Did I say it right? 4 times a day for 28 days, all of that for $500. An astounding price, and we're very, very grateful to Wanda for that. We've talked to Dr. Blum. He's willing to provide the $500 to get this done. All right? So, the next thing that needs to happen is we need to develop the concept. what is this 2-minute thing going to say, what it's going to do, who's going to be in it, and I've talked with Wanda, she's given me some ideas, but what we want to do is get everybody's input, and what we think is the best thing to do is kind of how we've done everything else. Let's have a little small group. It might be the communications team and whoever else wants to be a part of that, where we can talk through and say, you know, this is what it is. And once we map out the concept, then Wanda can take care of the, okay, you know, we're going to shoot it here and we're going to do this and then do the editing and we can get it on the TV station. So a couple of thoughts, and then so part of the, did I miss anything, Wanda? Did I miss anything right now? So one of the goals tonight is to decide what the small group is that's not to say we're excluding anybody, but we need a small group of people. It might, if you want it to be the communications team because that's what they do, we can do that, and if anybody else who wants to join in for this is fine, or if you want to start another one, we'll do that. Let's do 1 and then 2.
I have 2 things to say. First, I know that since it has been a big hit and people respond to it well, I think his slogan should go into the video, tell us your story.
You already designed it.
And then second, I think that regardless of who is the small group, some data collectors should be a part of that because we come from the community and we want to talk to the people of the community.
We're not excluding anybody. We think we agree. We're in absolute agreement with that.
Second of all, I'm pretty sure that's the local channel, right? Yeah. Like, do we even have, you know, any type of number as far as a rating? Like, how many people actually watch that channel? I mean, when you got channels like BET, when you can catch Tyler Perry movies for free, I mean it's kind of a run-in, you know, like, who is watching that channel? I mean, like, yeah, you can get some people that watch that channel, and, you know, they be like, hey, I seen this on TV, but I'm saying, if you're trying to reach a huge demographic, know some numbers. You feel what I'm saying? If, like, how can you, like, with radio?
Social media. Use videos and put it on your social media, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your Instagram.
Right. I mean that's cool, but I'm saying we're talking about televising.
Yeah. So, okay, I can tell you in terms of the numbers. I don't know the numbers right now, but those are numbers that can be gotten if you want to know about them. What we do know is people in East Baltimore they look at that station, okay? People do. I don't know how many, but I know it's more than we can talk to by word of mouth. And so, then I also know on the other side, we can't afford BET, and we can't afford the other one. I'm sorry, Pat. I'm sorry, I can't hear, Pat. Can you speak up a little bit? PSA.
Once it's created, we get the DVD to put other places.
I believe so. Is that right, Wanda? Yes. So we can start a YouTube, put it on our YouTube, put it on our website. It's only going to be, 1.5 to 2 minutes, so it's perfect to put a lot of places. You can maybe even carry it around with you or whatever. Yes.
If now we get this DVD, would it be wrong to put it on our personal,
Not at all.
social networks?
That's what I was saying.
We want you to put it anywhere you want.
Okay, cool. That's where I was going to put it.
Everywhere.
Share with everybody. Tell you something real. You might find it funny, but you gonna have some DVDs. You better reach the bootleggers.
I didn't get it out of me. I can't tell you what you do on your personal time if you want to do it. Because I'm in my position. All right.
Again, you talk about reaching the community. Ain't nobody more in the community than the He's right there.
All right, guys. So we still have one more thing to talk about, but I think I'm hearing that everybody is in agreement with this idea, thinks it's a reasonably good idea, we can get a whole lot of. I want to thank Wanda for offering that opportunity.
It's only played on radio and we know their listener shares.
Yeah. That's actually a good point. Another use we might be able to get out of it is using the audio from this on the radio.
They may even post it on their website because it's a public.
Right. Okay, so quickly, we got to decide. Do we want to use the communications team? I think it's probably reasonable, but anybody else, a data collector or others who want to join that, can join that. Since that's what they're about, they're already formed. why don't we just go ahead and use that group, but open it up to others who want to be a part of that group, okay? Anybody disagree? What's that? Well, right now, Miss Wanda is going to be the director, but she'll lead us through the process. My friend. We only got about 20 minutes left, my friends. Only about 20 minutes left, and we'll be done. The other thing, though, we need to find a time relatively soon to come together. Maybe, what's the best way? Should we email, doodle, pages that way? We need to, we don't want to wait for 3 weeks to have the communication group come. So we'll contact you the way we normally do to try to set this up. It'll probably be within the next week, because we want to do this as fast as we can, do it right, and get it out there so it helps our data collectors, it helps our process. Okay? That will,
I think about the brochure.
Uh-huh.
Where are you going to decide tonight about using this listserv?
Yeah, that's the last thing. That's the last thing we want to talk about.
All right.
Okay. So one other big area that came up is just sort of all other kinds of ways to communicate both within ourselves outside of these meetings, but also communicating to everybody else out there. And in this bucket of ideas, we have all kinds of electronic, you mentioned Facebook, Twitter, all these kinds of things as possibilities. And as we were talking about it, one of the people, Edie, and I think she's left now, brought up that we actually already have a listserv set up that was, I think Larry and Edie and a few others talked about a while ago. Nobody's really using it, but it's there. And so, well, that was the question, that's one of the questions we want to talk about tonight. Do we still think that's the right thing to do and it's just that people don't know it's there, or should we, move on and try something else? So let's start with, it's a Yahoo listserv. We actually put it on the flyers.
On the back.
Here it is, EBCHI, East Baltimore CHI at yahoogroups.com. That's what it is.
I got a technical question.
Yeah.
When you set up a listserv like that, for instance, is there a mechanism? Is there an administrator? Or is there a mechanism to join?
It can be either way. It can. I don't remember.
I can speak to that. That way it's set up. There's no administrator. Edie created it, so when someone's invited, she lets them in, but she gives everyone administrative rights.
So it's not moderated.
So there's
in
no
any way.
one person in charge of it.
So what do you think? Would we use it for internal, outside communications? Is that a way most people can get on, and you think it's valuable, or should we think about something else?
What do people see as the purpose of this? Because we get emails about the community.
Yeah, this is a good point.
I mean, so how is that different?
So this is.
I can tell you, lots of folks have come into this room and it took months for them to get added. And so this is an active way.
Right.
Right. So could we just shift those people?
But as you go in the community, other people, brand new people that you talk to for the first time can join.
Right, and then they can be added to this already existing group. But then take the people that we have who are getting the emails currently and sort of add them to that and have
Well, let me just say, so we have another sort of listserv that we push out information to about our meetings, about all that. That's really one-way communication. Yeah. That's UHI or Hopkins pushing out when we're supposed to meet, things that are going on. What we're talking about here is talking two-way. People have comments. We only have 2 hours when we meet together, and so somebody might not be able to say what they want to say. Now we can use this as a way after the meeting or tomorrow to continue the conversations as well as get information. And so we thought not to confuse that with the other one. Let's keep the other one good for pushing out information, but let's also have, this is why it was originally started, another one to allow two-way communication. And so the thinking is now, what we want to understand, since not very many people had been using it, should we continue with that and try to build it and get people to use it, or should we think about some of the other ways, texting, video chatting, or other ways that are out there? And since we have it already up, we said let's start and ask people what they think about this one.
I'm sorry, because I think the push out is important to somebody who just joined too.
Right.
So unless we can say that the information coming out from UHI is also pushed to the list.
It is.
Okay, then that's fine.
Yeah, people would be on both, essentially, or whatever. What do you think? Would you use it? Yeah. Myself included, I have not used it once, so I'm talking to myself. If we haven't used it, is it likely that something will change going forward?
It was piloted in the communications group just to see how it worked. And what a few of the members were doing were sharing documents in there. That was when we were like developing the flyers and things like that. So as a test, people were just adding documents and commenting on them. And it worked well when people were using it.
Back to the social networks, I think that if people actually share the
If we could
link-
just finish this one first.
No. You were saying, does it work? And I was saying if we could share the link so more people would know about it,
Okay.
it might have a better turnout.
Okay. All right.
I mean, and I don't think that we can judge whether, because, you know, I'm one of those people on Facebook that read, but I don't do a lot of commenting or writing. So you can't know I'm there.
Right.
You know, and so there's a value
Okay.
in people just receiving information. And so I don't think you should judge it by who talks.
Okay. So, am I hearing that people want us to try it and at least keep trying to make that one work? We'll still talk about the other ones, but we want to still keep trying to make that one work?
Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Any dissenters? Anybody thinks about? Okay, so we'll keep that one. It'll stay on the brochures. Encourage people to use it. You use it. Encourage people to use it. And then there were a whole bunch of other types types of electronic communications that we talked about as possibility, from the low-tech, regular phone conference calls, not smartphones or anything like that, all the way to texting, Twitter, Facebook, all of those kinds of things, as ways that we could explore getting the word out specifically about this and then about other things. What do you think about well, I guess I should say we already have a Facebook page. It was started by Liz. We haven't actively, have we put anything on it yet?
It was actually started by Marin, and it is up there, and we need people to like it.
Yeah.
Okay,
To
so
say
this
the
one
name
just
again?
started, and so we...
I'll do that right now.
What is the name again, Marin?
It's East Baltimore Chai, East Baltimore CHI.
No spaces. Because if you do it with spaces, it doesn't necessarily come right out.
Like it.
Yeah, so facebook.com/East Baltimore CHI.
And if you like the Urban Health Institute, you could look at our likes and find it that way too, if you need another avenue.
So you can go to the Urban Health Institute website and then find out about that here. But what do you guys think about potentially looking at texting as a way of more and more people, more and more institutions are using it not just to talk with kids, but to really get out, and you can tie it to a website or things like that.
Just the idea. Twitter. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Twitter's better than texting, is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I don't know either. Me myself personally, I was thinking about colleges, and then there is a Johns Hopkins school right above the street over here. So like, why not kick into that?
You mean reaching out to the students? Is that what are you saying?
Worth a shot.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking, trying to make sure I understand what you're
That'd
saying.
be archaic.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
First of all, I think texting is for me, it's too invasive. I don't want people texting me about everything. But I get enough text already. So the other thing that I'm saying when I said it's be archaic, what I find more valuable is a robocall. I do.
That's why we're considering all the whole range.
Yeah, but not now.
That's true with the political situation.
There's an event or whatever, I would value that much more than the text, because I just.
Not to
Now,
push.
the other thing is lots of people don't text or tweet,
Yes.
but they have phones.
You know what's called a tweet.
So we won't make any big decisions about this tonight, but I'm not trying to push one or the other, but just to let you know something that we've done because one of the comments I hear a lot when I talk about these kinds of things, people in the inner city, they don't, I'm not saying Adrian was saying this, but I've heard it other places. So we actually looked at that a few months ago. We just picked Twitter as a start. We said that the school has this amazing way to figure out who's tweeting and how many tweets they're making. So we looked for a 3-week period to see how many people who were twittering in East Baltimore, and we compared it to Lutherville. You know, Lutherville is a wealthy, upper income. You know where Johns Hopkins at Green Spring Station is, up 83, just before you get on the 495. So we compared it to up there, very wealthy people and neighborhoods. So you have any idea in a 3-week period how many tweets went out in the Lutherville area? Couple million? A couple million? Anybody think it's higher than that?
I know there's people who might do like 100 some tweets a day.
There are some people like that.
People go to Twitter jail.
I'll tell you, let's cut it short because we're running out of time. There are about 10 million tweets in a 3-week period in Lutherville. How many tweets you think came from East Baltimore people in that same 3-week time period? Couple million?
I said a couple billion.
It was 15 million more tweets. It was done by who?
They go to Twitter.
So that just serves to say, at least for that, people in East Baltimore are using it. They're using it a lot, and they're using it more than some other people you might think would use it more. We won't decide this tonight, but I want you to think about that because I think it's one of the things we can explore about getting the word out about this project and about other things. But are there any other last issues, comments, suggestions people have? Please don't leave before you help us with the CBOs and where you can plug in. If we don't see you or your name, we're going to be reaching out to you for help in these areas. Pat?
I think it's just one thing with the data collectors.
Yeah.
Is when they are collecting information from people, that they remind them if there's something that they wanted to really get back to them, they have to give us working information.
You mean the data? You mean the people? Yeah, make sure the contact numbers and things are good. Right.
If you think of some documents, please give us another one.
Okay, we'll work on making sure that happens. Thank you all so much for coming. Oh, I'm sorry, is there another? Somebody else? I'm sorry.
We'll pass down core values.
I'm going to behave myself for just a minute.
Oh, okay.
Everybody who worked on the core values subgroup, please raise your hand because I don't want to be responsible for this by myself. I do want to tell everybody that this was a really long process. Some of you have never seen these things before, but it took us probably a good part of a year to hash out core values for folks who may not have an idea what they are. They're a set of guiding principles. And we like to say they're not what we will become, they're what we are. And so I'm handing you this like it's the Bible. And I want people to bring it back into this room every time they come. I want to tell you that rumors have been going around that they sort of were just an exercise. But I think that's not true. Because I've actually seen people practice the values in their interactions right in this room.
For those of you who don't know, these core values are the values that this group, the all partners, over the course of, Adrian said, of about a year, said this is what we believe in, this is how we will act towards each others and expect others to act towards us, and how we will conduct ourselves. This is a major accomplishment to get this done. And so this is the first time you're seeing the finished product and you can keep it with you. So take it, look at it, tell us what you think. You're to be congratulated. It was hard work to do this. But it was necessary and I think it made us better. Would you agree, those of you that took part in it? Anything else, Adrian?
I just got a suggestion that needs to be on the website.
Well, I'm giving you my card.
All right. Thank you all so much for coming. We'll be in touch.